He targets children most. Slender could easily kill my whole family in 3 seconds.
At just 12, these two girls nearly took another classmate's life.
She told me that she got her in the lung, right here, 6 times.
Police say the suspects were inspired by a character on a website.
Slenderman, a faceless ghoul.
We never thought she could possibly believe that it was real.
I thought you saw Slender after Ronan stabbed her.
Why would you hurt your only friend?
We had to supposedly prove ourselves worthy to Slender.
There it is, the main argument from the defense in the Slenderman trial, that when AnneElise Goetz was just 12 years old, she really did believe that the Slenderman, this fictional character, was indeed real, and the only way he wouldn't hurt her is if she killed her classmate. Well, the now 15-year-old already pled guilty to second-degree attempted murder for plotting and taking part in a brutal attack 3 years ago. She faces 10 years in prison, but the jury could find her not guilty by reason of mental defect or disease. So if she would be sent to a mental health hospital until at least 2020. To discuss more, attorney AnneElise Goetz joins me now. I mean, this is so upsetting to begin with. You have 12-year-old girls in this, and that can't be lost. One of the things that the defense has to do is try and convince the jury that this young girl was so influenced. She believed that her life or her family's life would be in danger if she didn't do something.
Right. So the defense, typically has a pretty tall order when we're talking about the insanity.
You're dealing with imaginary characters
We
here.
are, and it's a very unique situation with these two young girls. We're only looking at the case of one of them right now. But the defense has to not only prove that she has a mental illness, but she didn't know right from wrong, and the mental illness actually resulted in her not being able to control her impulses. What's interesting about this case is the prosecution isn't bringing their own doctors. We aren't seeing their own psychologists. They're crossing what we have the court bringing. So we've had 3 psychologists come and say, we think she has a mental disorder.
Let's listen to one of them, actually. We have a little bit of sound from one of the psychologists.
She knew it was wrong. She knew the difference between right and wrong, but even so, she could not stop herself at the moment that mattered most.
And see, I keep going back to the fact that these were 12-year-olds at the time. A 12-year-old's understanding of something like this is vastly different from, say, a 15-year-old or you and I.
Well, and to take it a step further, I think some of the testimony that really resonated or could have resonated with the jury is when you had a psychologist say, look, we're in a time where fake news is tricking adults.
Fake news even made it into this trial.
I know, and so we're talking about 12-year-olds that were digesting this material from the internet. They had police reports on this website. They had, monitored images, everything we're seeing as adults, and they're 12. And did they truly believe, especially because there was a mental disorder involved, that this fictional character was going to kill them? I think that the defense has done a very good job of showing, yes, she did have a mental illness, and yes, it resulted in her not being able to conform her actions with the law. I think that they've done a very good job of that.
It makes me wonder if that website, this whole fictional character, if there could be any recourse there to hold them accountable. They now have warning labels on alcohol, tobacco, things that are dangerous. Do you think that could come from this?
I would be surprised if we don't see a lawsuit here. Frankly, we haven't seen one yet in the civil courts, and I would think that the victim would be that would be next on her list of lawsuits to commence.
I still can't believe she survived.
I mean, I can't believe she survived, and I think the real tragedy here is we're talking about 2 12-year-olds that are now 15 that are being tried as adults. Because whenever we're looking at the gambit of what an insanity defense is all about, when you're talking about 12-year-olds, their brain hasn't formed yet. It hasn't been completed, fully formed. And so all those arguments that you normally see in a juvenile proceeding, we have here, it almost builds, it further buttresses that insanity defense.
Very good point. AnneElise, thank you so much. We'll talk more about this case going forward here on HLN.